everyone, welcome to another video. So in today's video we'll be looking at another zoonotic disease. So in the last video we treated brucellosis, which is an infection that can be transmitted from humans and from animals to humans. So today we'll be looking at another topic known as anthrax. So what is anthrax? Anthrax is basically a serious infectious disease that is caused by a bacterium known as Bacillus anthracis. So it mainly affects livestock and wild animals such as cattle, sheep, goats, and even some of these deers. So however, this anthrax, like I said, is a zoonotic disease, so humans can get infected when they come into contact with the infected animals or infected animal products like wool, hides, or like the meat from the animal. So it's also known as bioterrorism agent because it can be used deliberately to infect people by releasing spores into the air, food, or water. So to understand anthrax, we have to remember that number one, the skin, which is the largest organ of the body, is the first line of defense when infections enter the body through cuts or abrasions. So in this case, this is called cutaneous anthrax. Then the lungs is basically the main organ for breathing and is involved when spores from the animals are inhaled, and in this case is known as inhalational anthrax. So when it comes to the gastrointestinal tract, that is the stomach and the intestines, is affected when contaminated food is swallowed. In this case, it is known as gastrointestinal anthrax. So the immune system, especially the macrophages, like the white blood cells that eats bacteria, so the macrophages, they try to fight the infection, but this Bacillus anthracis produces toxins that kind of like kill immune cells and damage tissues. So how does the infection anthrax, how does it happen in the body? So this bacteria that causes anthrax, Bacillus anthracis, so the spores of this Bacillus anthracis, they enter the body through either the skin, like if a person has like a cut on their skin, so it can enter through the skin, and in this case it will cause cutaneous anthrax. It can enter through the lungs by inhalation of the spores, leading to inhalational anthrax. Then it can also enter through the gastrointestinal tract by eating infected meats from the animal, which will lead to gastrointestinal anthrax. So the name comes from the location the bacteria enters into the body. So once this bacteria is inside the body, the spores are taken up by the macrophages. So the bacteria germinates. That means it germinates. That means it becomes active inside the macrophages, and it releases toxins, including there are two toxins. There's the edema toxin and there's the lethal toxin. So the edema toxin causes swelling. Then the lethal toxin, it kills cells and damages tissues. So the toxins damage the body by causing cell death, breaking down tissues, and leading to widespread infection, widespread inflammation, and even sometimes organ failure. So what exactly causes this anthrax, and how can somebody get it? Someone can get it, number one, by handling infected animals, like for example farmers that always work with animals, or butchers, or veterinarians. They are the people that are mostly at risk. Then contact with contaminated animal products like wools, hides, the animal meats. Then also breathing in anthrax spores that can cause inhalational anthrax. So this can occur especially during a bioterrorism attack or in contaminated areas. Then also eating undercooked meat from the animals that are infected with this bacteria. So for the symptoms are different for each type of the anthrax. So for example, for cutaneous anthrax now, cutaneous anthrax is actually the most common form, and it basically starts as a painless bump, purple, that's a purple on the skin, like a painless bump on the skin. Then it will turn into a black centered ulcer, which is usually called an eschar. So it will turn into this black centered ulcer. Then it may have swelling, like there could be swelling around the ulcer. Then fever, headache, and swollen lymph nodes can also occur in the person that has this cutaneous anthrax. Then for inhalational anthrax, this inhalational anthrax is actually the most dangerous form of this condition. So it begins like the flu. There's fever, there's cough, there's fatigue, normal signs that you see when you have flu. Then it progresses to severe breathing difficulty, chest pain, and eventually shock. So this inhalational anthrax is most dangerous because it can be fatal without proper treatment, and that's why they always use it for all these bioterrorism attacks, because once they release the spores of this bacteria, it's deadly for humans. So when it comes to gastrointestinal anthrax, so this one, you can see symptoms like nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and is mainly due to you can get some mainly from eating the meat of the infected animal. So there will be bloody diarrhea, and all these things can lead to severe infection and death eventually. So other conditions that can look similar to anthrax, we have cellulitis. So it is a skin infection which causes redness and swelling. So the symptoms can be similar to the symptoms you see in cutaneous anthrax, whereby there's swelling around the ulcer or the bump on the skin. So it can look similar. Then we also have plague. Plague is another zoonotic infection. Then tularemia, which is also known as rabbit fever. Then some cutaneous fungal infections, and severe pneumonia, which has similar symptoms that is seen in inhalational anthrax. So for the treatment of this anthrax, so basically treatment requires urgent antibiotic therapy. So basically the first line antibiotics usually include number one, ciprofloxacin or doxycycline. So this is usually given for at least 60 days because spores can remain in the body for a very long time. So they are the first line antibiotics that are given. And if there is severe infection, like severe infection that comes with inhalational anthrax, so other antibiotics such as penicillin or clindamycin may be added. Then antitoxins like raxibacumab is actually a monoclonal antibody, so it may be used to block the effects of the anthrax toxins that is released by the bacteria. So supportive care can include giving oxygen, giving fluids, and sometimes intensive care if the infection is very severe. So how to manage this condition and how to prevent this condition. So number one, vaccination of livestock in areas where anthrax is very common. Then proper disposal of infected animal carcasses. So proper disposal of infected animal carcasses, so burning or burial of this carcass. Then avoiding handling raw animal products without protection. So always try to wear gloves, because that is how this cutaneous anthrax can be spread. So for example, you have a cut on your finger, you don't know if it's there, you are always used to cutting meat and everything, so it's just good to wear gloves to be safe. So a vaccine for humans actually exists, but it is usually given only to like the high risk workers, like laboratory staff or military personnel or people who handle animal products regularly. So pasteurization of milk and proper meat cooking, they are very essential to prevent gastrointestinal anthrax. So in summary, this anthrax, what is it? It's an infection, a serious infection caused by the bacteria Bacillus anthracis, and it spreads mainly from animals to humans through the skin, cutaneous anthrax, through the lungs, inhalational anthrax, or through the digestive system, gastrointestinal anthrax. So it produces toxins that damage the body's tissues and can cause skin ulcers, severe lung infections, or abdominal pain and bloody diarrhea. So treatment involves long courses of antibiotics for a term of like 60 days, and prevention relies on animal vaccination, proper food handling, and protective measures for health risk workers. So that is basically the summary of this condition known as anthrax. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.